different, wouldn't necessarily say it was a human spirit that would just walk around my room whenever I was starting at practice and whenever I was really, really, like maybe 5. It's not super tiny, but kind of young. And then stuff that we do would be just summoning different entities, but it's always been something really weird to be able just to think about something hard enough and then call to it and then have it come. Because that's something that I noticed was kind of something that I did whenever I was younger, and I still kind of do it sometimes depending on what it is.
Yeah.
Like if it's an ancestors kind of, it's hit or miss if they're busy. They may be dead, but they got lives too.
Yeah. And what I hate is when working with spirits and you're not intentionally calling them up and they show up like bam right there. I was like, wow, God, dude.
You're like, wrong one.
Yeah. And we've had it a couple times too where I've been home alone or he's been home alone too, and we'll see shadows of like humanoid figures moving around the apartment.
What pisses me off is when I'm showering and I'm like, dude, I know you're dead and all, but fuck, I'm showering. Oh, excuse me.
Language, dear.
I know.
You're better than that.
Shh. Do not speak of such nonsense. Anyways, also, sometimes spirit messages may come in omens. Now, this doesn't mean that every single thing you see around you is an omen.
Yes, don't become an omenistic person. I used to be that way when I was younger. I used to annoy the hell out of everybody. I admit my flaws. Yes, I was one of those people.
I love you, you're cute.
I know.
Anyways, don't do that.
Yeah, I'm like, oh my God, my candle popped and a ring came out of it. Does that mean that there's ghosts around my house? I was that person. Don't do that.
Oh no, the lights flickered. Get this on.
Yeah, that's like,
oh no, you spilled it! No, you're fine. What I would say would be an omen would be if whenever you're getting in your car and you're leaving somewhere and there's a cat sitting there that won't get off and it's staring at you. And then it looks at you in the eye and then slowly walks off and runs off, then I'd say that's an omen.
Yeah.
If, like what happened with me, the light was red at a stoplight and out of nowhere a dog was directly in front of my car. Yeah. And I was on my way home at 3:30 in the morning, I would say that's an omen because it was sitting there staring at me in the eye.
Yes, that same day, coincidentally, there's no such thing as coincidence, a bird flew into the house, or into our apartment, sat there on the chair by the computer, and seriously just hung out for a while. And a friend of mine, yes, and I know you're watching this, and no, you're not right, it still wasn't an omen, but it was an omen.
It wasn't the omen that you were thinking.
Yeah, it was something completely different. I know I'm going to get a lecture next time we see him, but
it's okay. You can tell him that his angels have guided him
yes,
to learn the truth from you.
Right.
Which reminds me, I need to take up my divination stuff to give him readings.
Other omens that are very obvious: the dead come and talk to you in your dreams.
Georgina.
There was a while back when we were we were getting some shade from somebody, and my grandma.
Is that the 3rd magic attack or the 5th one?
I don't remember. It was just I kept pushing it off because they were so weak. And I was just like, I'll worry about it later, And one of my ancestors showed up and was just like, dude, you need to handle this shit.
I'm like,
I don't want to.
They're like, I am your elder. Grow up.
Yeah. And I just did some, I didn't even bother sending it back. I just stopped it and I'm like, okay, I'm done.
You're like, good night.
So I was like, because if I bring the hammer, bam. Egotistical much. So I'm like, boom.
Drop the mic. Would it be drop the planchette?
Yeah, drop the Ouija board.
All right. So,
what other stuff? I know we've just doing like offering work too, and you get into that receptive state. Spirits can come through, entities will come through, and it's really cool when it happens. It can be frightening.
I think it's cool as hell. I'm like, yay, that shadow's over there.
Yeah, we'll see shadows. We'll see orbs floating around our ritual room.
One of the ones I used to always see was the old woman in black, but she was old. She wasn't like the one in Insidious. She was short. I think she was an old lady who like died where the house was that I grew up in.
Yeah.
She always smelled like tortillas. And I'm not being stereotypical, but she did. Like homemade tortillas, not that grandma's brand store-bought stuff. Like
the traditional stuff.
The real stuff. She always smelled like fresh tortillas. But she would stare at me through my window, and I'm like, I'm trying to go to bed. If you're going to tell me a bedtime story, do it, or go home.
And
which probably would have been stupid. Like,
Yeah.
now.
And a lot of times people say too that if you acknowledge them, then you can't get rid of them. Not necessarily true.
You can get rid of them.
Yeah, like, you know, I hate driving to intersections where there have been really bad accidents, and sometimes these things just like rush the car and they're like smacking their faces. Oh my god! I was like, fuck, don't do that.
You're like, you're fine. Move.
Yeah.
Now you're okay, but like then you weren't.
Yeah, and I've had really good success with spirits that come through and just tell them I was like, out. You know, they fade out.
There was one when I used to work at Ross and have to walk in the morning from that park over there that would keep running. And then I think that's when we started talking about spirits that keep going in a loop because they're stuck in that
Yes,
cycle.
some spirits can get caught in a loop, so it's a traumatic experience that happens, and they're just replaying the same thing over and over again.
Talk about a personal hell, that would suck.
Yeah, I don't know if there's any consciousness associated with them though.
It's just residual.
Residual energy.
Yeah.
But you know, a few weeks ago we were actually across the street watching a movie. Anthony went downstairs to go to the bathroom, and we were in the very top row, and there was some a couple sitting down like about 5 or 6 chairs away from us, and me and Anthony are right at the edge. I'm sitting there. The movie started. He's not there, and
I had to pee.
yeah, there was a couple people that were in the theater with us, and all of a sudden I see somebody out of the corner of my eye walking towards me. It was a man. I know that was a man, and so not wanting to be an ass, I kind of sat up straight and moved my legs so he could get through, and I looked up at him, and whoosh,
Like a ghost.
he was
He'd be
gone.
gone.
You know, and I've been around this so often, I was just like, are you fucking kidding me?
You're like, really? I
Yeah.
bet you that they have TVs in the afterlife now. With time, how it's evolved and how people figure out manifestation there. I bet you they conjured up a TV and that's like a prank show that they do.
I know, right? It's just like, oh, he's not going to make it. And then Anthony comes back and it's like, dude, it's like, what? This place is haunted as fuck.
I was like,
when are we starting? No, it becomes a nonchalant thing once you get used to it. But the one thing,
like, cool.
yeah. And the one thing that freaks me out too is just like, you know, when you start throwing stuff around.
You're like, damn it! No temper tantrums.
Yeah, I hate it when they turn the they
You're
turn
like-
the TV on.
You're like, you've been dead a while. You're not a 3-year-old. Stop it.
Yeah, but you know, when you get stuff like that, that's when it's time to break out the Vesta powder. Vesta powder is a magical mixture that is used to banish negativity. It's burned like an incense, but you got to burn it on a charcoal brick and inside a big cauldron or some other
Fireproof
vessel.
container.
That is not going to explode.
Fire safe.
Yes, I actually was at an exorcism at a place that I lived at by the witch that I was living with. Wanted to cleanse the place, and she threw down Vesta powder, which was in a cauldron. And then she had her Vesta powder in a glass jar, and we're fairly far apart. And all of a sudden, you know, she told the spirit, out, be gone, all negativity. She threw down her Vesta powder on the charcoal, and all of a sudden, the bottle starts popping and fizzing, and she's like, duck! And so we're all in robes, and we all scattered, and I like hopped over the sofa, and she's like
break the
hiding.
circle?
And, well, we didn't have a circle when we were cleansing the
That shit
area.
hurt.
But all of a sudden, the whole thing starts popping, and then blew a kind of had a crater in the kitchen. So
Yeah,
that
your
was-
neighbors are like, I think they're making something in there, and it's
yeah,
illegal.
that thing exploded, and it was cool, but it sucked. Left a big scorch mark and it left a kind of a crater on the floor.
Pretty much looked like an episode of Charmed.
Yeah. We didn't fly off like we did in
Stereotype
Charmed,
much.
but yeah. Sage is another good way to get rid of negative spirits.
White copal.
White copal. I know I said it Luigi. I know, sorry. Been Sedona too much.
It's okay. But anyways.
I'm gonna come back next week sing Chile. Sage. Vervain. It's also good. Mix it with water.
It's verbena.
That says vervain. We either spelled it wrong or something. You know, sprinkling that around the floors.
Frankincense and myrrh. Like myrrh.
Florida water is one of Anthony's favorites to use.
Rosemary. I've used that.
It's good for spiritual cleansing.
Hyssops.
It's good for spiritual cleansing as well.
Make an infusion of that. Mix some salt water. And then be like, be gone!
Yes.
Oh, we still need to make a world chance.
But hyssops is very good for spiritual cleansing. It's one thing that we recommend. If you have a haunted house, you can always, once you cleanse the place, put down lines of salt on the outside of the doors and windows to help bar the spirit from entering in. And also, when you're doing that stuff.
Sorry, I have a whole ritual going in my head. That's perfect.
Okay.
We'll talk about it after.
So, make sure that you get the mirrors, because mirrors are oftentimes associated with the spirit world. Excuse me.
As well as doorways. You're gonna stab yourself in the throat. Give me the
I'm
pin.
not. And spirits can enter to and from spirit. Now, from the spirit world to this world. Using that.
Mm-hmm.
What you doing?
As well as vessels of water you can use for that.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's the reflective surfaces. I'm not saying that you have to cleanse your aluminum foil, but, you know.
Like, if you're really going to go that far, more
If you
power
have
to
aluminum foil stuck on your windows, maybe you should.
Yeah. I'm not going to say anything about that. But, I'm going to be nice.
Yes,
Anyways,
it's an actual thing that people do to keep sunlight out of their house, especially if they're working graveyard shifts. It helps to block out all the light.
yes. Speaking of how we're talking about spirit communication and necromancy, older rituals call for digging a pit into the ground and pouring in like milk and blood and all kinds of stuff. That's the purpose. Just basically, if you look at it, to me, what my interpretation of that is, and the meaning behind it, is giving enough life energy to be able to summon it. Now, I think that they were actually trying to get physical manifestations, according to a lot of theory on that or in history.
Physical manifestation is hard as hell to achieve. So if you're lucky and you have the sight,
It's easier.
Your clairvoyance, it's easier, honestly, or your clairaudio, then it's easier. You can hear them or see them.
Also, summoning the dead, you can use different things such as bones. This is actually, what would this be considered? A bone, but what is it?
It's a bead.
It's a large bead made out of bones.
Mm-hmm.
We
We got
use
it at
to carve candles.
Yeah, we got it at one of our expeditions to Sedona.
We have I wouldn't consider it taxidermy, really. A little bit of taxidermy there.
Yeah, it's a trading post, and they have like a lot of animal stuff there, feathers, animal bones.
Gator bone.
Yeah, what I want is a whole gator head. But,
Those are harder to get here. But we use this for candle magic, and you could also use different bones and dirts from the graveyard, items belonging to the deceased person, as a link to be able to summon them up.
Now, you're not always going to get the person though. Sometimes other things can come in place because the person's dead and they got shit to do.
Yeah, or sometimes they've moved on. They're further than what you can actually contact.
Yeah, I had an ex who passed away years and years and years ago, and
He's chill as hell, though.
but he's gone. We can't get a hold of him.
Yeah.
So we've tried a couple times.
I think he's finished what he needed.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm good to go. Bye.
He's like, you don't need any more of my help, so I want to bounce. I got another body in life waiting for me.
He's like, kept you safe long enough. Bye.
Yes, I'm high maintenance.
I love you.
Thank you. What else do you want to say about spirit communication?
You could use dirt from a crossroads within a graveyard. Make it easier.
Yeah.
If you're gonna meditate in a graveyard, do so properly. Meaning, don't just call to every Tom, Dick, and Harry that's all up dead in that place and surrounding areas and say, "Oh yeah, follow me."
Yeah, and don't do it just because you see one. Oh, I just want to see if it worked. That's how you get in trouble. And that's how you end up hiring me. Maybe you should. No. That increases my bank account. But no, I'm kidding. There's an old thing too that said if you were to chant the name of a person 3 times whilst looking into a mirror, that would conjure images of the dead.
Talking about that Bloody Mary business.
Well,
And then like a bunch of other ones.
Yeah. Bloody Mary, I've done that. Well, the most I got was a little black image in the center of the mirror, and then that was it.
Get faded out.
Yeah, good.
Someone else is calling me. Bye.
Yeah, Bloody Mary's like, oh my god.
It's all seriously. A cute guy at WeHo. Bye.
Right?
All me.
Yeah, when you're doing like major evocational work or conjuring of entities, that are other than corporeal, like once corporeal beings, like demons or angels or elementals.
Angels are dicks.
Yeah, angelic forms can be asses.
Yeah, it's not all Doreen Virtue, Love, and Light.
No, they are not, and that's become like with the Fae or fairies. A lot of people have this image.
The Fae are cool as hell, but they don't look like pixies.
Yeah, a lot of people have this old pixie image, Victorian type thing, where they have these cute butterfly wings and.
That's cool for like art.
Yeah, it's not.
They don't look like that. They look cool though.
At least the ones I've seen don't look like that, and that's just frightening. The first time I saw an actual Fae, it scared the crap out of me. Where I didn't actually do the work again for like a couple of months.
It made me want to do it again when I actually met them. I was like, hey,
Yeah, I had to talk to my
Alright.
mentor after that.
I actually like how you guys look. I'm like, can we chill more?
Yeah.
I'm like, you guys look cool.
But no, it seriously traumatized me because when I had to talk to my mentor, I was like, I think I did something wrong because this happened. I'm not going to go into details because...
Yeah,
You know.
you can't. But then,
Yeah, he was just like, well, no, you got it right. I was like, why didn't you freaking warn me? But,
he's like, well, then I wouldn't know if you got it right.
Yeah. So, my mentor's awesome.
Ooh, we need to do more work with the bee.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. I liked that ritual. It was good.
So, and when you get information from spiritual to deceased, or any entity, take it with a grain of salt.
Well, they said for me to do drugs to raise my consciousness. Don't do it.
Yeah, that was actually a bad experience with me and another magician, or two other magicians I was working with. The magician ended up conjuring a spirit, and I was against the other guy being the scryer, as I was more experienced with the evocation than the other two were. And it wasn't my choice to let them do the ritual. They all wanted to do it, so I'm like, okay, peer pressure. What can I say? Hey, don't judge. You know, you've all been
The best
there.
excuses are on peer pressure.
Mm-hmm. But y'all have been there, okay? So don't be hating, don't be judging, and don't be like, oh my god.
Players gonna play.
Yeah,
play.
what about your karma bullshit? So,
Okay.
yes, I get very
You're
defensive
cute.
when this stuff comes up.
You're
And
not-
I don't take my magic lightly either. I try to be one of the more cautious and most cautious people, and there are certain things that I'll work on that I won't let him do at all.
Notice me. No, just kidding.
No, it's just that there's some training that's involved, and so and I learned the hard way myself too. So I've had those fucked up, creepy experiences and everything. But this guy conjured an entity, and it wasn't the entity that we called. And I told the other magician we were working with, banish it. I was just acting as scribe, and he was like, no, I want to see where this goes. And I was like, banish it. And he was like, no, well, let's see where it goes. And the scribe was like, he's telling me that I can do drugs and all this other stuff, and so banished the spirit finally. And that was the last time we saw that guy. So,
Probably dead in ditch.
yeah, but when you do evocational work, make sure you don't break your circles, your protective circles. They are
Oh,
there
it said
for
to touch
a
the
reason.
mirror for me to receive higher wisdom.
Oh.
No.
There was an experience with another magician and myself where something like that happened where, he wanted to get a pen and paper to write stuff down, so he broke our circle. I'm like, oh, shit. I'm standing there, I was like, it's...
Was that one of the Greys?
I think so, yeah. But this entity comes through, and it's like, he's like, we can see his astral form reaching out through the mirror, and he's like, touch my hand and let our fingers meet so I can connect with you too. And he tried to stick his hand, like, don't do it.
Like,
I will cut
you're like,
you.
don't be stupid.
And he was like, well, let's see what other information. And at this point, I was just like, I'm not going through this shit again. So I banished the entity, and poof.
Why did you do that for?
Yeah. So,
And also, if you're going to be writing your own rituals, make sure that you're very specific about where this entity is going to be landing in.
yes.
It's like waiting for a plane to land. You want to be specifically like, land here, not on the building over here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, part of the Goetia, with its evocation or its conjuration spells, or its conjuration, says, come forth now, O spirits, and appear before this circle, within this triangle and mirror of art. Well, the mirror was added, but that's how a lot of people reinterpret it. But it's always, come forth now, here before the circle, within this within this triangle of art, and speak truthfully and rationally unto all things we shall ask of you. Or something along those lines. Meaning that the spirit is actually conjured inside a magic triangle.
Outside of your circle.
Yes, not on the inside. There are some magicians who will actually do evocation and summon higher beings like angels, archangels, and planetary intelligences into the circle with them onto like a wax pedestal where there's like a crystal ball. Which is okay because those ones are not really interested in humans. Higher beings are not.
They don't really care enough.
No,
to
they
hurt
don't.
us.
Those higher
Most of the time, unless you're being an ass.
Yeah, some of those higher beings can be jerks.
They just will get annoyed by you and be like,
Yeah, I've had that
I'm
happen.
too good to talk to you.
Yeah, it's like speaking with a really stuck-up person sometimes.
Yeah.
I've had that experience a few times.
Scott
And,
stuff.
Mhm.
No, I'm just kidding.
But, some of the lower ones, their goal is to get back into this realm, and, so they don't care who they use to get what
Get
they
that
want.
way.
And which brings us to another thing known as spirit obsession. And we've had a couple of conversations on this as to where people will do evocational work
Constantly to that one.
to one entity or to a group of entities, and that spirit is actually manipulating that person to manifest or give them whatever it is they want, whether it's offerings, constant tension, because the entities and spirits thrive off of that.
They're feeding.
So be careful.
I want to suck your attention.
Right. And I went through that phase too. I was one of the. It happened to me where I got went through spirit obsession.
Was it with the Kowisha?
Yes, it was. But
Was
I
it
was
the one that I was thinking about?
No, in Amen?
No, Orvis?
No, it wasn't. It was actually when I was working with the spirit Amen to help him with a relationship that had come to an end with. And I've told you the story. But I was really hung up on somebody. I needed to get some closure, and I also wanted to press
He
him
looks
back.
cool.
He's kind of scary.
He looks cute.
Yeah, when you see him, when you do the stuff and he shows up in the mirror, it's like, oh, that's not what I look like. But
He was cool. He was pretty.
yeah. So, another book that's really good for the spirit evocation, spirit work. You know him. I know him. Well, we know his work.
We all know him. Miller?
Jason Miller.
I'm like, Miller?
Yes. Love his work. He's one of the best damn magicians that I know of that's out there writing books, aside from Pt2, Pokranyan, and there's a few others that I like.
He's just up there.
Yeah. He's,
If he was a spirit, we'd make him a wax pedestal.
bad.
Hey! That was funny.
Yeah, he's a really good magician. Love his work. It's very practical and down to earth, and he's been there. He knows a lot about hoodoo, root working, ceremonial magic,
Witchcraft. He's like one of those few people that I see that their stuff works, yet they're able to blend systems.
Yeah, and a lot of his stuff is not hidden like it is in other books too. He gives you a lot of the information out there to make the system workable. But
There's a lot left out too.
There's a lot left out to keep the mystery there. So I think his blog was called Strategic Sorcery. So it's
Inodium.
Inodium, I think it's how you pronounce it.
Inonandium?
I'm sorry if I mispronounced it.
pronounce
If you
it.
actually see this video, sorry, dude.
But
But
we
love
have-
your work.
Yep.
I think I have all your books. I'm like, it's such a.
We actually do. We keep it
Yeah.
all in one section over there on that
Yes.
bookshelf.
We call it the Jason Miller section. No. Yeah. We fangirl. We have our favorites.
If he ever likes anything on Facebook, I'm like, oh my god, guess what?
Yeah, I do the same thing with Pt2. Pt2 like something that I like. I was like, oh my god, yes. And the same with the Gramazis.
Yeah. Oh, that one time that she liked my thing. I was like, oh my god, she liked it. You're like, she don't like mine.
Yeah, so we fangirl. We have our favorites. But that's to be expected. I don't know. Do you have anything else to say about working with spirits? Because this video went a little bit longer than I thought it would be.
Well, I mean, we
Some
just
music
wanted to
stuff.
talk about speaking with. Yeah, that's only 40 minutes.
Yeah.
And then there's also elemental spirits that you can conjure that way, or even spirits of plants, spirits of the land. You could actually conjure your familiar spirits up that way
Yeah.
too.
There's-
But I noticed that my familiar spirit likes to just be all up on my shoulder. He so girl, guess what?
Yeah, a lot of shamanic cultures call for communicating with ancestral spirits or land spirits and stuff like that. And shamanic stuff is completely different from my interpretation because I grew up in a Native American tribe.
What about the shamanic magic?
Oh my god. There's no such thing as shamanic magic.
Okay, back on topic.
I had to get that rant out, but I grew up in the Native American community, so there's a lot of medicine men around. And it looks like we are running out of time, so we'll get back on this later. Batteries are ready to die. So, goodbye. Talk to you later.
What if I...
That was stark.